forward, ladies and gentlemen, our final panel discussion for the day on the topic Technology Enabling E-Commerce. We have a moderator for the session, Mr. Samarjit Singh, President of Ixila. And joining him are our panel members, our first panel member, Mr. Corey Orr, co-founder of Power Stores, born and raised in Toronto. He serves on the e-commerce committee for IAMI also. Next up, we have Mr. Shiv Kumar from Valtech. He heads the e-commerce practice. We had him share a brilliant presentation in the afternoon. We have Mr. Shiv Kumar from Valtech. Joining them is Mr. Jacob Singh, Regional Director at Acqueo. Acqueo is leading the open source revolution on offering cloud and SaaS and other services to Twitter, PayPal, and more, building websites on Drupal. Joining them, Mr. Arvind Pani, co-founder of Reverend Language Technologies. His mission and passion is to ensure a quality of digital experience for Indian and other complex language users equivalent or better than what is available to English language users. Also joining them is Mr. Anand Ganeshan, who is the founder of Find Me a Shoe. 18 years of work experience in technology development, product design, manufacturing, business development, and retail and supply chain consulting. And we also have Mr. Bhavik Javeri from Embark, who's an entrepreneur and technology and product expert. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our final panel members for this final panel discussion of the evening. Samar, over to you.
I think we've got a big responsibility to keep you awake, and I hope everybody lives up to this expectation. The last panel, and I hope you make it very, very interesting. So fundamentally, we're discussing technology in e-commerce. Fundamentally, in e-commerce business, it's the backbone, it's the road on which the cars travel in that respect. So we've had a very interesting discussion at the lounge, and very interesting ideas came through. Try and see how many of them we can get on the table. We've tried to take this entire panel in a sequential approach where first we're trying to cover how do you get, what does it take to get online, in terms of how you choose your technology, what kind of technology. That's the first thing we cover. From there on, we'll move to saying, okay, once you put the basic structure in place, and you put the technology in place, how do you enhance it, how do you use it, how do you make it more efficient? And once you've done the phase 2, you've done that part of it, we'll move to saying, how can we make it extremely innovative so that the experience becomes very unique to us. These are the broad 3 phases we'll cover. The structure we're going to follow is, I think I don't want to waste time in introduction initially because we have very little time left. So whosoever the panelists, once they start speaking, please make sure that the first time you speak, you introduce yourself, and then we take it up from there on. As discussed, if we first get down to, I think one of the big questions in everybody's mind is, I'm starting off, what are the alternatives in front of me, and how do I go about building them? So one of the things, the 3 panelists who basically are in the business of getting you online, and one comes from a structure of SaaS-based architecture, the other two come with a background of more enterprise custom-based build. So I'll hand it over to Corey. Then she'll take the first dig at it. Why do you think SaaS-based architecture for which kind of missions, which kind of retailers, which kind of brands?
Hello everyone. Friday, 6 o'clock right now. So this is a big question that I'm always asked. Custom versus platform. And the truth is that every company is different. Every company has their own unique requirements. And some are good for custom and some are good for platform. So I'll tell you, we're a software e-commerce platform based in Goa, where you can essentially come to our website and you can choose a theme and you can build an online store in a few minutes and you're up and running. And if I want to break down the benefits of a platform, I'll put it into 2 categories. Number 1 is your starting phase where you're getting up and running. A platform will help you keep your costs extremely low. And I think that's one of the biggest highlights of a platform. So your upfront cost is very small, your time to market is very quick, and also the learning curve is smaller because when you're doing a custom solution, you have to redefine the wheel over and over again, and your idea of how the wheel might be different, and you might end up building a wheel that doesn't turn. With a platform, we focus on building a wheel that works on every car that wants to drive on it, and you can, use this wheel. And we built it so that it spins perfectly. So it's going to work. It's going to have the way a user shops online is predefined through templates. The way you manage an order is the best practice for managing an order. And a platform can sometimes make you stay within the lines of the best industry practices for whatever the platform does. So I see that as the first part of why a platform is a great selection for someone. The second part is when you're up and running and your online store is built and you're looking to grow it and manage it and go off and be successful and become the next Flipkart. You don't need to worry about infrastructure. Infrastructure is a big cost of both time and money. So with a platform, our team focuses on making sure the platform works, on making sure your infrastructure is safe and scalable, so that you really don't have to think about it. So if you're building a custom solution, you have to worry about that. You have to have a team, or you have to have another team that you're outsourcing to, continue to keep up the infrastructure, build it for a scalable future, and you have to tailor that for yourself. With a platform, we're working to keep the infrastructure working for thousands of companies using our platform. So we have a high vested interest in making sure the platform is stable, making sure it can grow with you. And the other point is that if you've ever built a custom solution, the web and e-commerce specifically it's a moving target. And every year we see massive changes and improvements. For instance, in the last 12 months, responsive has become a big thing. And everyone who built a website before now probably didn't build it responsive. And now all of a sudden everyone who's built a custom site has to go and rebuild their entire experience using a responsive framework. With a platform, we released responsive immediately. As soon as it became available and we saw that that was the way everyone wanted to go, we released 15 responsive themes that you can simply turn on, and the next day your site is mobile friendly. So we're adding new features, we're upgrading the platform, and you can just take advantage of that. And the platform is really going to drive in the direction that the industry is heading. So you get to kind of ride on all of those great things.
So I think all the benefits lie in potentially starting with a SaaS platform, low cost, quick implementation, scalable, no infrastructure cost. So why are you in business then? Potentially, I think you need to explain what kind of customers potentially prefer a custom build. Jacob, I'll come to you after that. What's the difference? I think he set the context in saying from a cost perspective, from a time to market perspective, from an adaptation perspective, platform makes sense. So why should people do a custom build? You need to make a case for it.
Absolutely. What we think is there is place for both in reality. I think that's what we should recognize. But while all the benefits Corey listed are valid on one set of context, but on the other set of context, we have customers who say, if I use platform, what's the differentiator that I'm carrying against another competitor who may be running on the same platform? How do we differentiate? What's the business value that they can deliver to the customer? That's the key question that we answer.
Why don't you give an example of a differentiator?
For example, they want to drive social media in a certain way because they want to listen, they want to analyze in a certain way because their market is such a way that they have to treat it differently. But can the platform give it is a question mark in sometimes. Maybe there are platforms which can give, but that's where people tend to move custom. There's another aspect why some of our customers are looking for custom development. When I say custom development, just to be clear, they still use some product as a base solution, but customized to meet their needs. The need is that they want to make sure that they have control over e-commerce platform, which is so crucial for their business. Next 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, maybe 20 years, they don't want to give up control to somebody else. That's a second key point that I want to bring.
They want to own the infrastructure, or they want to customize it. Okay, so Jacob, your experience on that front.
Hi. Thanks, Doug. So my answer to platform or custom is both. I mean, it just depends on the enterprise what they're doing. For instance, this is not a commerce story, but you guys heard of Pfizer? No? You've heard of Viagra? No? You're all lying. I know some of you have heard of Viagra, I can tell. So Pfizer uses our software to make all their brand sites. And some of those sites, they make all kinds of strange drugs, like drugs that cure toe hair and stuff like that. And those ones don't need a full-blown custom solution, so we have a platform, a SaaS platform for that. However, some of them are big, multi-billion-dollar drugs like Viagra or Lipitor, and they do have custom solutions. So it's always a combination of two. Our company is the company behind Drupal. Some of you, did any of you know Drupal? Only one guy? That's bad. Our marketing is bad. That's shocking. The Drupal powers about 3 million websites. It's a really popular web content management system, which is a fairly new entrant into commerce, just the past 2 years. But we do have some large customers in commerce. And what they look for and why they pick Drupal, essentially it's around, okay, this question is getting asked. What is the question? What's relevant in technology? How do we make a decision? What are the things we should look for to take a technology decision? And this question gets asked at every conference. And it will continue to get asked. So then, logically, you could conclude that we don't know what the hell we're talking about because they're going to ask it next year again, and they're going to have different answers. The year after that, they're going to have different answers. Right? So what we think about is we talk about flexibility and agility, future-proofing yourself, making sure that whatever decisions you're making are ones which are quick, which you can go to market quickly, you can iterate on and change quickly. And so Timex, I don't know if you heard of Timex. Timex is like a watch company in the US. They use Drupal primarily for that reason. They're able to innovate with social media, collaboration, content, digital marketing on the same platform. But it's open source, it's flexible. That was their decision. That's the downside of a SaaS play, right? You don't get that. But you get to market a lot quicker. On the other reason though, like a company like Cartier, Cartier is the luxury goods products. For them, it's all around telling a story. For someone like them, when it comes to commerce, it's not about just listing products. It's around making connection with the user. They're selling an emotion. They're selling an aspirational value. They're not selling a pen or a watch. And to sell an emotion, you don't just show the pen and say $25. If you order the next 5 minutes, it'll be $19. You know, snap deal, whatever. That's not what it's about. It's around video, it's around social, it's around keeping a conversation going, targeting the kind of messages they need to hear. Since Drupal has roots in a CMS, that's a lot of the market that we go after. So again, it totally depends on the company. If you just need to sell products online quickly, you know, Corey's thing is totally what you want. Of course, you know, Shopify is better than Shopify and cheaper. But you know, and if you're a luxury product or a brand trying to tell a story, a CMS hybrid like Drupal may be a good one. If you're a multi-category retailer, you know, maybe an ATG or a Hybris makes sense. It all depends on the player. That's my answer.
So fundamentally saying, if you need flexibility, if you need multiple integration points, you want to create experience which is extremely unique to us, potentially a custom build or a customized product which is more enterprise class distribution. How you've been working in the Indian market in a very large space, you have large clients in that space. What's been your experience on the whole SaaS versus a custom build and the reasons Indian clients have chosen custom build as opposed to SaaS and logos?
So probably, before answering this question, I would like to go 2 steps before this and identify why we need an e-commerce store. Let me just look at it as a very primary pain point which we are not considering before we actually choosing the technology, which probably can be custom or technology. For me, primarily it's an idea structure, and when I'm saying idea, it's not the intuition and idea we keep on getting. The idea is that is identification, identify the opportunity, identify the processes, identify the challenges, identify the value proposition. D, then consider the design which is around this I that you identified. Then speak about engineering, and then speak about analysis. Now, if you are not able to close these 4 points, your I, D, E, A, then probably, unless you have information around this, you probably are not able to make the decision that should be customization, but should be a platform play. And for me, I think platform play or the SaaS solution is a good starting point when you're probably initiating your business or the I part of your idea. And as you grow, you identify a couple of mistakes or good things about your business as you grow. You definitely need to identify a very custom business model or custom software technology which handles your design, which is custom to you, engineering, which is custom to your challenges and processes, and then analytical tools on top of which again are the data point which gets converted into information. This is your business and not any other business. So for me, it's as simple as identify and then design and then probably get into analysis phase to correct yourself, and this is how you should choose your technology step by step.
In fact, I was just to take it from where Avik left. I was on the other side of the panel yesterday on the technology side only, and I've always figured out, and I felt this grid is the perfect grid to potentially decide on a technology framework. If you put on an x-axis, you put in the capability of a company. So let's say low capability or high capability. When I say technology capability, and on the y-axis you put your ambition. So low ambition to high ambition. You make a 4x4 structure. If you have low ambition and potentially low capability, I think it's very simple to go on SaaS because you need a plain Jane structure. You just need to have a transaction. I think no questions, it should be a SaaS structure. But if you have very high ambitions but low capability, you I think need a technology partner who can work with you, potentially the way Bhavik highlighted. So you can take you through the whole life cycle of your product development. And if you have a very large, you have a large ambition and a large IT team, then I think those guys are looking for extremely capable vendors who can make large scalable infrastructure because they're expecting huge traffic right for day one. For low ambition and high capability, I think we're just losing the opportunity. So that's the way I have said it. I'll add one more piece of it. So moving on from, let's say, how if you decide on the technology, I think from there on, the whole platform moves to that what all you can do to make that platform efficient, whether it's a SaaS platform or a custom-built platform. And we have two interesting people in the panel who have a very interesting service which potentially can increase engagement with the whole platform. So I think you have a language-based platform, and any experience with the commerce side of it, if not a general comment on why do you think language could be an interesting thing to potentially increase commerce and that as an application? A quick introduction for.
So especially in retail, we haven't seen any kind of real language-based implementations on e-commerce yet. But I'll give you a very broad perspective of why language could play a very important role in a country like India. There are two questions that I get asked always whenever I talk about languages. One is that India is an aspirational country as far as English as a language is concerned. So why is it that we need to reach out to consumers in local languages? Now my answer to that is, even after almost 70 years of independence, the literacy rate, English literacy rate in India is less than 10%, whereas total literacy rate in India is almost 75%, which means we are talking about 65% of India's population who are actually literate in their languages, but not necessarily native. And English, as you can very well relate to, even though we are literate in English language, English has always remained a language of business communication. It has rarely been a language of personal or social communication. And buying decisions are really decisions of, generally decisions of the heart, made from the heart, right? So, some other data that I would like to provide. China is a market, very similar to India, and we have done some amount of experimentation in the mobile domain, and I have did a lot of data around the usage in the mobile space. So if you look at it, non-voice related services in China, they generate about 10 times more revenue than what we generate in India. In India, the ARPU on mobile phones is about $1.2 a year, $1.2 a year compared to almost $10 to $11 a year in China because of local language consumption. The second thing is where do these consumers, local language consumers, is there an ability to spend, right? Again, if we look at spending in the media, if you take the newspaper and television media, then out of top 10 newspapers, 92%, there are about 100 million circulations in India for newspapers annually. 92% of those are actually local language subscriptions, and the revenue out of that is almost $3 billion, right? Similarly, on the cable and satellite television segment, 95% of the consumption is also in local languages. So local language is actually a predominant factor when we are talking about reaching out to consumers. On the digital side of it, that choice has not been given. If you're talking about choice on e-commerce or retailing segment of it, then what it really means, one is really to browse through the products or services which are available in local languages. So one is the consumption aspect of it. The second one is the interaction aspect of it, right? So if I have to post reviews about the product, like how can I do that in local language? And third, the entire process of search and discovery. It's not just the availability of the content, but how easily can I discover the content in local languages. When I talk about search, one of the important things is if you are looking at, let's say, food, the way food is written in English, vis-a-vis it's written, the same could be written in the local language, it could be very different. And consumers may actually write food with choti or badi matra. Now, how do you handle those kind of ambiguity and yet fetch the results to be able to display so that the entire content access process is extremely easy and relevant for the consumer. So these are basically the aspects that we look at for enabling not just e-commerce but various kinds of services in local languages.
Fantastic. I think a very interesting idea. I've heard it for the first time. I would like to do e-commerce in Punjabi, and it could actually open up the tier 3, tier 4 market. So very interesting idea. I think from your side, you've done very interesting application for e-commerce. Really, your side, how engagement has increased potentially or can be increased by application which you make.
Hello everyone. So I think the other panelists talked about the infrastructure and the technology, and Arvind talked about the language part, how to communicate. And so what we are working on at findmeissue.com is more like a product discovery layer over the e-commerce infrastructure. So what are we talking about by saying product discovery, right? So I'm pretty sure many of you would have done online purchases of shirts or or apparel or footwear, and you would know the pain in making the decision which product to buy and whether it's going to. There is an anxiety when you do the purchase. So that's exactly the space we are working in. What we think is it's more like if you go back 15 years ago, in 2000, the whole the electronics industry tried to push computation into everybody's home. But later on, if you look at it, I mean, it's more of the devices have become smaller, and the computational infrastructure has moved to the cloud. So what is important right now is what you build over the cloud, and that's where we are saying, e-commerce infrastructure would be built, and what are you going to build over that? That is going to be the solution. So what we have built at findmeissue.com is exact layer, how to find the right footwear. I mean, so the first module what we released right now in the market is how do you do a virtual trials on different footwears available in the market. So hopefully you will see this product out sometime. And so there are two things involved in this. So one is the logic part of it, which is how to do this one-to-one matching. It's basically a recommendation system. And the second part is how do we collect databases, both on the product side as well as on the consumer side. So this is an interesting, the recommendation system or the product discovery layer is gonna, I think you'll start seeing more and more action in that. So I think that's our take.
So I think you have a product which people can stand on and it measures the feet sizes.
Yeah. So what we do is, as I said, we have to capture the database both on the footwear side as well as on the foot side. So the way we do the foot data collection is we have a 3D scanner which we are running in the Bangalore malls, where you can go and capture your food profile. And we are also developing a mobile app where you can take pictures and basically register yourself with your food profile. And in our warehouse, we scan almost every shoe in the market, so that's how the databases are getting built. And the logic kind of does the matching between one shoe and food.
Again, fantastic use of technology where you're storing the databases of full sizes so that they can match it with, when you're buying it, you can compare it. It's a more fitting part. Coming back to the content side, Jacob, your perspective on what's been, because people is known for this part of content. Examples, understanding how content, the community part of it as a feature has been helpful in commerce. Any thoughts there? Any examples?
I can try. I guess the way we look at it, and I think this might be offensive to some people here, but I feel like the e-commerce as an industry has been largely commoditized. Those of you who are small vendors are going to get pushed out by Amazon very quickly unless you do something to tell a story. Because just having a supplier and a distribution network and a shopping cart is not a business anymore. Because everyone has access to the same suppliers and the same logistics and the same software to put a shopping cart. So what are you doing? Right? And that's, I think ultimately we saw that in the US. I know you guys probably follow the US commerce market, so there's a lot of small stores, there's marketplaces, and then it's like just gigantic multi-channel, multi-category retailers. Except in cases where there is a story to tell along with the content, where you're about addressing the individual, and Amazon will never be able to really do that. One of the, I think of good examples right now, one of them is the Timex site. The Timex site, I don't know why people do this. Like, I have a watch, I don't really care, it's okay. But people take pictures of their watches and upload them to Timex, on like Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, and they actually have discussions about watches. We have, how many of you know Led Zeppelin? No one like Led Zeppelin here? Yeah. So, Jimmy Page, right, the guitarist? Yeah, right. Jimmy Page, awesome guitarist. He has his own site, and he sells memorabilia up there. And it's cool old stuff. And along with all the memorabilia is like where that came from, that guitar, or that ticket stub, or that T-shirt, or that whatever. Authentic stuff, signed by him. They sell it. And you can go there and you can say that I went to this concert, and here's what I did. And he's building a community among his fans, and they're starting to follow each other on Twitter, they're getting Facebook updates, they're logging with social logins. That's something Amazon will never be able to do, even if he put all his products up there. No, he's not doing crores and crores of revenue. There are major brands with other examples, Cartier and Kenzo, they do similar stuff. But I think that's a pretty cool example of where if you're not a huge multi-category retailer, you can really do something innovative that they can't copy. And so we see that as our core competitive advantage where we're going. The other big one is personalization. So we're really bullish on that. A lot of the personalization and targeting solutions out there are not very prevalent in India yet, but they will be in the next year or two. And our focus is around keeping the testing inside the CMS. A lot of them are outside the CMS. So it's like you create multiple versions of your content, but they're in different places, and ours is trying to make that really seamlessly so it doesn't involve IT. Anyway, I won't get the technical details of that, but I feel like creating a one-on-one conversation with the user is increasingly important. So, yeah, those are my tips, for whatever it's worth.
So I think interesting. I was saying it's a fantastic way to use content, differentiate, because it builds a community, it engages consumers, it helps you differentiate from Amazon. It seems to be a great example. But how have you seen Indian mid-sized, large retailers trying to differentiate by using technology? Any innovations that you have seen? It could be anything which you've not built, but you were inspired by.
I have to say, the Amazon guys, we love Amazon. They're like a major partner of us, Amazon Web Services. We're probably one of your biggest customers.
Because you keep your job.
The store and different things.
You keep your job.
We love you guys.
So your question, so are you trying to say how the technology is solving the large retailers' problems?
You see, which is a key differentiator, and technology is the key.
So for me, basically, I will not comment on the large retailers or any retailers. I would say the key differentiators, the innovations that I'm very clearly seeing coming up probably tomorrow as we talk is probably one, reverse commerce. The scene Twitter is going top on people coming and trying to sell their own products again and again. I think it's a big market. The third is the second big innovation which is sure to come is the creative commerce. So right now we have buyers, we have sellers. What about people who are artists, who are creating their own content, creating music, creating 3D printers are up, so creation is simpler and simpler every day. So I think reverse commerce, or probably I can call it as an economy, which is old products getting sold again, refurbished, sell back to the markets, and creative commerce, so self-created, personalized products getting sold is becoming probably next generation innovation, and technology is key to this businesses than any other offline retail business in the industry.
I think a very interesting point is saying to create commerce. So today, custom creation, I saw met something, printshop.com. I know Arvind brands, and don't quote me here, I also want to keep my job. They're coming up with a website called create.com. They bought a domain which is very expensive, and you can create your own shirts, you can create your own trousers, on such a thing. I also know of a company which does custom manufacturing, so you can make your own furniture and they exactly manufacture and deliver to you in the next 5 days. So one of the very interesting trends.
Well, probably you've seen InstaMojo.
Yeah, InstaMojo.
Post and Sampath's way. Artists, probably it's a link-based payment. To create your own work, upload it, create a link, share on your Facebook, allow people to buy. I have a good example. Basically, the photographer who wanted to do a wildlife photography in Africa and wanted to raise some fund for this. She said that I do this photography, create a calendar and share it to you. Give me probably 10,000 rupees for this. And there were 50 people who came up and bought it. Creative commerce.
Sure. So from your experience, you work with large enterprise players. Any interesting innovations or examples which you can think of or share with the audience?
I can think of a couple of examples in two different segments. Let's talk first on consumer segment. I think as Jacob touched already, the content, how do you use content to engage with customer across touch points is going to be key, and that's where I think some innovation is going to come. Adding to your example, Jacob, there is a customer in Finland. What he does is he sells fishing equipment. If you go to his site, you don't think that he's selling fishing equipment. He teaches how to fish, then sells the fishing equipment. I think that's the innovation that's going to come in the consumer segment. On the B2B segment, when I say B2B, let me qualify what I mean is the purchase happens within two businesses. I think that's where next innovation is going to be. Let's imagine we have quite a few such cases and examples, but a purchase manager working in a company who buys his mobile online, uses it for personal purpose. Now he expects that being a purchase manager, he should be able to buy whatever he buys from other companies for his business to be able to be purchased online with the same level of ease, with the same level of content engagement, in addition to the terms and condition and contract, etc., that typically apply between two businesses. I think that's where next innovation is going to come in B2B segment.
Corey, you have the last word. You have the first
Great.
word. So any examples of innovation within the SaaS framework, or and how people effectively use the walled garden and figure out interesting answers?
Sure. So we're always innovating. We're innovating in a lot of areas. One is mobile. Mobile is a huge focus of ours. And I don't just mean that your shoppers can have a mobile experience and purchase things, because that's already what it should be expected. That's not even innovation anymore. Your site should work on the phone. When we look at Asia for expanding our e-commerce platform into the market, I don't think that people are going to have a laptop or a desktop. If you look at rural India, they're going to have an Android phone or a phablet that kind of works in between a tablet and a mobile. So for us, innovation is happening and helping those SMEs build a store right from the phone. You know, that's one thing that we're working on. And if you pull out your phone right now and you go to powerstores.in, you can actually create the entire store from the phone. And that's something I haven't seen anyone else really do. And that goes not just building the store, but managing your store. So, you know, you should be able to manage your order, you should be able to pull your reports, you should be able to do the necessary functions of day-to-day of managing your e-commerce business from the phone. So the phone has become very important. I highly agree with our friend here on content. Content is going to differentiate you from the Amazons and your competition. Something in Power Stores that we focused on very highly is allowing you to build rich content sites with your e-commerce site. And that's something a Shopify or a Magento don't really do so great unless you grab a developer. So it's about helping you easily create a rich content site that goes with your e-commerce site in one system. The other innovations that we're working on is really, you know, creating an amazing API. And if you look at a platform, make sure they have a great API. And our API is coming out soon. But an API is going to let you really do your own innovation on top of the security of the platform. You know, that's what has made Apple's iPhone so great for developers, is that there's a way to build on top of a really great, stable, core, functional phone. So that's some of the innovations we're seeing.
Anand, any use cases of your product on the e-commerce industry within India at this moment?
Yeah, initially we are launching in Indian market, and then
Any use cases, live cases? Any cases which are live, people are using, any e-commerce website is using them in India?
Not yet. We are in the process. Actually, you will see us in next month or two.
Across the globe? Across the globe, anywhere?
No.
No, it's a very interesting, exciting technology. I think we've just got 9 minutes to go. I would like to open the house for questions. Any questions on any of the topic are welcome.
Hi, my question is to the entire panel. My name is Vishal Bhakkar. I run an investment bank. See, basically, we talk a lot about technology, e-commerce, but entire discussion is purely focused on products being sold and products being delivered to customer and the experience around it. What about services? Have not the learned panel or these entrepreneurs in e-commerce platform have thought of services? I can give an example. For example, doctor advising his patient using an e-commerce platform and paying fees, patient paying fees, or for that matter, legal advice or financial advice. What about services? Is any innovation happening on the services front in e-commerce?
We were asked to keep it to products, so that is the reason we kept the whole discussion to the product, because it's e-tailing India. But I think in specific, we can answer the question in any possible way. Jacob, you have a perspective?
Yeah, we actually on Power Stores have a lot of companies that sell their services.
Are you saying box services? Like say, buy a massage at 1,000 rupees?
Both.
Okay. Or it could be a consultation for cancer. Okay.
Services broadly, both boxed as well as unboxed.
Okay. So we actually decided to keep the conversation limited to products because the whole audience is that, but I can open it to anybody to answer that question.
You know, we're seeing lots of customers in the service-based industry starting to use e-commerce. We do actually have a few doctors who are charging for a block of their time to get on the phone with you or to get on Google Hangouts with you and consult you on their problem. We have a couple ice hockey stores in Canada who are selling private lessons of their time using internet commerce platforms. I'm seeing a lot of that actually right now.
Anything in India? No? Yet to arrive.
No,
I know of a lot of interesting custom workflows on that front. I know of a company called Spanidia. A friend of mine runs it. They do custom IIT and CAT coaching online. So you buy it online and then it gets delivered online. So I've seen cases in education. We've also seen cases. So we run a client called Anjali Mukherjee, which is Head Total. So their entire buying of the package to get slimmer, better, clearer skin gets bought online, and when the delivery happens offline. So these are two interesting cases I have seen of the services delivery. But the reason I got stuck on that point is because that entire workflow, the whole technology is a little different from the whole commerce workflow, because there's a goods movement, the payment mechanism works in a different way. There's hardly any service delivery beyond the product reaching the customer. So the whole experience is a little different. Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you guys. We finished in 5 minutes early. The panel is available for any other questions if you want to ask. Thank you. Thanks a lot. You've been a great support in conducting this panel. Thank you.
Thank you.